that's it. Trying to think anything else here that we need to really look at. Um, that's about it. Definitely also, when you're up here, watch your switches big time. And we have a lot of problem with the cat car. Cat car, um, even though that he's inside his track, which is usually H track, he'll leave that switch open with a RWP and a derail right here. We know that's an FRA violation, and but it happens a lot that that switch could be open. So just be very careful coming up here, because H and I, when you're coming up from the, watch my pointer, when you're coming up this way, it kind of looks like you're lined for I, but all of a sudden there's a quick over to H, and there's always a split rail there. I mean, derail there. So just be very careful. Take your time coming up. It's a little bit of a grade, but just take your time and watch your switch points. And let's go down here. Boom, boom, boom. Oderton MW base. As you can see, it's the exact same layout, except for the stone washer is in the middle. Well, a little more to the north end of the track. They got it listed here. It looks like it's kind of in the middle, but it's more towards the north end. This is about from the stone washer to the switch point to the lead. I want to say roughly about 16 and a half cars. So it's a little farther on the north end. Again, we try to keep I track as a run-through track here, but with the limited space and all the work being done on the south end right now, MW is, we have equipment everywhere, so you might not have a run-through track here. You're going to have to go out, come out to the south end. And again, I don't know if these are labeled with mileposts, but the new mile marker for the long siding switch is milepost 113.8. South end is still 114.9. Again, that switch at 113.8 is a new switch. I can't think of the exact name for it, but there's a sequence in order to throw it, and the same way for the south end. There's a sequence in order to throw those two. So just keep in mind, it was in the bulletin. I believe it's in the general orders now of the sequence of how to throw that switch. If not, call someone and they'll let you know. But this is the MW base. The next one is the Bear Shop Complex. We're not going to it, but it's in here just because I don't think anybody else has many copies of these, and I don't want to lose it. So I just threw it in here, so save a copy. So you'll have one, but that's the Bear facility. Wilmington Shop, here we go. Now, if you're looking at this will be Wilmington, and this way would be Philadelphia. Here's one track, here's the O track. Off the O track, you have the rec train side. That's where we can store most of our equipment. A lot of times when you're traveling back and forth, you might see a cellar train sitting here. It's usually sitting right here on the O track. Try to keep this free, because if we need to get a cellar train in and out, you don't want to have cars blocking it. Coming into here, you have the south leg, the north leg, back shop, and all these little different tracks. If you have to Y a train or an engine here, keep in mind that they do store equipment out here on the south leg of the Y. So you want to make sure it's all clear before you start getting equipment all the way around there and you can't get through. That's pretty much about it in this area right here. It's all self-explanatory. Just be careful going in and out of here. It's 5 miles per hour coming in at that switch right here at Landlift, coming into the O track. So remember, and it's 5 miles per hour all throughout here. So restrict the speed. Watch yourself. So if you're sitting here at Landlift and you get a restricting signal into the facility, as per instructions, if the lower speed applies, the speed applies to the interlocking. So guess what? You go 5 miles per hour through that whole interlocking all the way in here. And that's just a heads up. Odenton MW base. And we talked about that. I duplicated it, so you have a duplicate. There's Perryville. I duplicated that again too. Penn Coach Yard. Man, I'm duplicating a lot of these. So you have a lot of duplications. All right, real quick. Freight train operation. Special instructions. It tells you from 6 to 10 p.m. The following trains must not exceed 30 miles per hour between 6 and 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., we can run E speeds, freight speeds. So if your equipment allows you to go above 30 miles per hour, you'll go through that through special instructions. But during those hours between 6 and 10, all equipment must not exceed 30 miles per hour. So if you have equipment that's even less than 30 miles per hour, do the correct speed. And its exceptions here to equipment. This restriction does not apply to track cars or Amtrak, MARC, or New Jersey Transit light locomotive engines. So our locomotive engines that are light and are diesels and electrics, we can run at the speeds required, light speeds. And you'll find those speeds in 37S5. I believe you'll see it in your speed restrictions. We'll get to it. Just going through these real quick. I don't really want to get too much in this stuff. Just trying to give you information that you can use when you get out to the base. Most common things you need to look at. So, continuous welded rail trains. We do have a rail train that's been out here. We've been dropping rail. Just go over this a little bit. Do not exceed 3 miles per hour while you're unloading rail. Loaded CW trains must be accompanied by a qualified MW employee and not exceed 20 miles per hour when the tunnel car bulkheads are in a down and open position, or trains not equipped with tunnel cars in the concepts are operating without buffer cars, or while rail threaded through the rail or load and unloading area. What that means is there's two modes. There's a travel and work mode. When they're done their work, they put it up into a travel mode, and we can move it back and forth. Speed of that train now is 40 miles per hour. I'll show you that in the special instruction where it says it's 40. But if the train is in work mode, you cannot exceed 20 miles per hour. So you'll hear them say a lot of times work and travel mode. Keep that in mind, but if you don't have a buffer car is like a flat car or a gate, has gates on it on the end to protect the rail. If you don't have that, you have to do 20 miles per hour. And I must say, most of the equipment I've seen so far has all that, so don't get too worried about it. But if you get it, just remember 2 words, travel and work mode. Always check with the foreman when you leave, and make sure the conductor checks before you leave out what mode are you in. Boop, 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 boom. All right, hauling dead engines tells you the position of trains, couple and brake wires for consecutive coupling. Little stuff here, really. Braking light, multiple light Amtrak locomotives exceeds the speed in 25. We shipped a lot of engines back and forth between Wilmington, Philadelphia, and DC. So just remember, you assess us 25 miles per hour. Full service application must be made when the cap signal changes to restricting, and once you ascertain that the speed will be achieved, a lesser degree of braking may be used. Basic stuff. Speeds of various equipments. I'm just highlighting some stuff here because I know Joe Rass will be crying if I don't. Alright, engine service and tracks and car shops repair tracks. Moving engine service tracks and car shops must operate at restricted speed not exceeding 5 miles per hour. Remember that. Unless otherwise noted. Odenton, 10 miles per hour. Do I recommend it? No. But Perryville, 10 miles per hour. But you also operate at restricted speed. Freight and work trains and blah, blah, blah. Machinery of rotary swinging type. Such as cranes, derricks, steam shovels, moving on its own wheels, straight track 30, on curves 20. If you have to move a crane or something like that, just always remember that. Any type of machinery, rotary or swinging types such as cranes, derricks, steam shovels, moving on its own wheels. Mineral freight trains, 30 miles per hour. trains handling welded rail cars. As I was just talking, 40 miles per hour, travel mode, 20 miles per hour, work mode. And this is where you find it at. Now, if you look at this and your page says 30 miles per hour, well, you're out of date because the last general order, they skipped one of these. So it was actually showing this being up with the spreader and the 30 being up here. So they corrected it. It's 40 miles per hour trains handling welded rail cars. All right, trains loaded with Amtrak tie cars, 45, blah, blah, blah. Engines equipped max speeds, otherwise restricted dimensions. I highlighted our engines that we mostly use down here, just to give you a point of reference if you need to find one. The P32s, the wide body front end ones, you'll see a lot of times in Lorton. We use them up here. Usually it's the 512, 513, and 514 is what we have. They're 50 miles per hour light and multiple unit with train 100. So you can see how that's set up, and it tells you equipment dimension 4. You just go find per line instruction of what each equipment dimension restriction is to match up. As Dave Martek always says, if it fits, it's good. If it don't fit, it's not. So a 4 can go into a 5. A 5 can't go into a 4. Just remember that. 520, 527 GP38H, 50 miles per hour, 65 with a train. Go down here to 570, 579, GP15, 50-50. This is where you got to watch. 700s, 720 to 724, GP38. That's a GP38, that's a GP38. Well, guess what? This is only 30 miles per hour light. Now, if you hook it up and you MU'd and you have 2 or 3 or 4, you can go 50 with a train 65. So the reason why that is light is I was told because of braking. So it's 30, so just keep that in mind. Here's the Amtrak freight and MW equipment. Blah, 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 all the cars. Tells you the equipment dimensions, speeds, everything. Just go through it and take a look at it. Now, don't get confused with this. Hold on a second. Don't get confused with this with the continuous welded rail. Remember, the continuous welded rail train is meaning that it's intact. It's a whole train. When we're looking at this, we're looking at individual cars on that train. So if you see a CWR plant flat 50, well, if it's by itself, these card numbers, you can do 50. The train is 40 miles per hour, and each other additional card broken down is 40 miles per hour. That's why if I have the 724 on 5 ballast hoppers empty, and I'm after 10 o'clock at night, I'm 50 miles per hour. If I have the 724, it's 30 miles per hour. So since these cars are 40 and they're width to 50, it has to drop down to 40, and that's why you see the continuous welded rail trains at 40, because you have to take the lowest speed, and that's the lowest speed these cars can go. But that by itself, you can move it at 50. Exactly. Here's what here. You're going to see these, the MFS 40 cars. They're conveyor hoppers. Might be dealing with that because we have the undercutter out. They're good for 50 miles per hour, but there's a special instruction pertaining to that, and we'll get to that. So just remember that. Air side dump cars, 50 miles per hour also. We'll get to that too. That's important information there we need to know.